So I have a video here. Some of you may have seen. There's over 10.7 million views on this. But the more I see every day, the more I start to realize that the United States of America is not the place I grew up in, the place I thought it to be. And maybe this stuff always happened because people always had claims of being set up by the government of things, but I really never really believed it. But now I start to see things more and more every day that goes beyond what I honestly thought could ever happen in this country. But it's come to light that we have a government that it's so far out of control, so far beyond the norms of what our Constitution says, that I don't know where we go from here other than we have to take action soon. We cannot allow the United States government to continue to allow it to set up its citizens, frame them, and do things like this and completely lie to the American people about it. I knew the January 6th witch hunt was bad, but now that this is coming to light, how many other people that they put in prison for January 6th are really like this? They made this guy the center point, the focal point of what happened in January 6th. And when you watch this video, you see he basically was being escorted by police throughout the building. Now, why wouldn't the judge have this information? Was the judge in on it? Why wasn't this allowed into evidence? Because if this information was allowed into evidence, there's no doubt in my mind that Jacob Chansley, also known as Q Shaman, walks. He's being escorted by police throughout the building, taken to locations where they see doors are locked, and they basically tell him, oh, come on, we'll go somewhere else. But yet this gentleman was sentenced to 4 years in prison because our government decided to try to hide this evidence for 50 years. Doesn't that remind you of what they did with all the COVID information? They tried to lock and seal it away for 75 years. This isn't a government that's for the people, by the people. This is a government that's for the elite, for themselves, and try to suppress and oppress the people that it's supposed to be governing for. What do? How do we change things? We don't have a legit AG. Merrick Garland is in on it. He's just as bad as the people in our government. So where do we go from here? I really don't know. We need a leader to step up, and we had that guy in Donald Trump, and we still want it to be him, but they're going after him just as bad as they're going after guys like Q Shaman, the parents who went and voiced their opinions at school board meetings, and anyone else who decided to stand up to the government. But I'm going to show you this video, and then I'm going to show you another story about DHS and how they're trying to destroy evidence as well. We're in some crazy times right now, and I honestly don't know where we go from here. I know people are going to say we need to overthrow the government, stuff like that. You know, it's far more complicated than that. We need to do something that is lawful, legal, and will allow us to get rid of these villains, because there are good people in government. Don't get me wrong. There are also good people in law enforcement. There's good. The good people, to me, outweigh these evil tyrants, and I don't know why we're allowing these evil people to control and do these narratives, and we just stand by and do nothing. Anyway, I want to see this video of Shaman, and we're just lost as a country if we allow this man to stay in jail.
Dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did
And think about it. At a time where we actually have in these big cities real violent criminals shooting people, robbing people, causing all kind of chaos and mayhem. Look what happened in Georgia recently, where they're firebombing police stations. We're actually letting all these people go. Now, the Shaman was portrayed as someone who was violent, was a violent extremist. They don't, even though they don't show him doing one act of violence, what they do is they'll show you people who are being violent outside the Capitol, people who are rioting. They're not trying to do an insurrection, but they are rioting. And then they'll clip to him to show that. But what they fail to tell you in these videos is that there are people who were totally acting within their constitutional rights. They were nonviolent. They were demonstrating. And he most likely appears to be one of those people. They opened doors, they let him in, and they led them around the Capitol. And here's obviously an instance where they led him around the Capitol. This man is surrounded by police. They're not trying to throw him out. They're not trying to arrest him. They're walking him around from door to door. Some of the doors were locked, and they say, basically, let's go find another spot. And this man was thrown in jail for 4 years, yet not one police officer is telling him to leave the premise. This is where it's really messed up.
Jacob Chansley due to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple...
Right there, think about it. The door's locked. The cop was going to let him in and realized it wasn't locked and basically said, come on, let's go somewhere else. They weren't in fear of this guy. They're walking in front of him. This is the whole point. Why would they hide this video?
Entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley.
Look at this.
Not one of them even tried to slow him down.
Not one cop said anything.
Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th. The industry.
And there you have it. He clearly thought the police were on his side, and he walked along with the police. They threw this man in on a federal indictment and convicted him of all these crimes, got sentenced to 4 years in prison, and they hid this film for a reason. Our government is broken. Now I'm going to show you the other one I want to show you about the DHS. I'm going to read an article with you, but hold on one second as I scroll over to it. And here we go. Here it goes. A federal agency in the Department of Homeland Security that's been scrutinized for what critics argue is suppression of dissenting political views under the guise of combating disinformation. That's their buzzword. Whenever they know someone is coming out with the truth, they basically want to call it disinformation. Now it appears this is the government to be burying evidence of alleged censorship. Experts and watchdog groups agree. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has come under fire for working with big tech companies to flag and take down social media posts related to elections, COVID vaccines, and a range of other issues that were deemed misinformation and malinformation. Well, apparently none of it was, because we've proven over and over, especially with the COVID stuff, that it's all BS. Now, I do believe eventually, whether it's another year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, we're going to prove what we said about the elections. That's why they're still trying to conceal and hide everything. I don't know if you know, but Kerry Lake was just approached, she claims, approached by some very rich people and asked us to step down from politics. If that isn't telling you what's going on in this country, you're not paying attention. And all this stuff is supported by the Elon Musk Twitter file drops. All of this is provable. So this is the thing. Are we as Americans, and even you liberals, forget about leftists, as I always say leftists are lost, but even you liberals, there's mounting amounts of evidence that our government continues to do unlawful things, commit unlawful acts against people, don't care about the Constitution. So I ask you, and this is why I ask liberals to step up, because for many years, liberals were supposed to be the leaders of going against what the government was doing that was illegal. But it seems there's a difference between liberals and leftists. It seems that liberals have lost their way and being led by leftists to be silenced and not talk about the things that are going on in this country. You see a guy like Bill Maher, who is considered a liberal, actually coming out and now starting to see how bad the left is. And he's speaking out against it, and little by little, so are some other liberals. But the liberals have to honestly combine with the people who love this country and really stop this whole leftist tyranny, because that's what this is. Anyway, I just wanted you to see that our government is lost. And we, the people, have to step up and honestly stop these heinous crimes against the people themselves. We have a long fight ahead of us. They continue to distract us with all the other nonsense of balloons and Ukraine wars, World War III, and everything else. If we don't stop it, forget about World War III. There's going to be nothing left of America before we even get to World War III. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please share this and let people see that what's going on in our country is far beyond what our forefathers ever wanted and warned us about. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.